Good morning, everyone. I thought I'd try this. Pretty nervous, I'll have to admit. A little different than teaching in a class setting. But I thought I'd take you through an hour of yin yoga flow. This one's a beginner flow. So you're going to get your low back, your hips, as yin always works those. Excuse me while my cat wants to come in. She likes to be a star, unlike me. So yin yoga, as I said, works the low back and the hips. This is a flow of Bernie Clark's, and you can get a lot of information about yin yoga on his site, yinyoga.com. So hopefully you're sitting on your yoga mat. Come to a comfortable cross-legged seat. Oh, Bella, try to be serious here. One foot can be in front of the other, and your hands can rest in your lap, or maybe on the sides of your thighs, palms up or down. If you're going to lie back, maybe have your legs bent with the inner knees resting together to start off with. You might like to straighten them out at any given moment, or not at all. If you're on your back, hands can be by your sides, palms up or down, on your belly, or maybe one hand on your belly and one hand on your heart. Shrug your shoulders up to your ears, and then let them slide down your back away from your ears, tucking your chin in slightly so the back of the neck lengthens. And now let your eyes fall softly shut if you haven't already done so. We always start off a yin class with a centering, 4 or 5 minutes of quiet meditation. So just settle onto your mat, into your space. Let go of whatever you've got in store today. Tell yourself you'll think about these busy thoughts once you step outside of this room. So this next hour then is just for you, body, mind, and spirit. Take time to do a body scan. Notice if there are any areas that are maybe in need of that extra little bit of care or attention this morning. And it's not that you'll dwell on whatever issue or areas in your body, whatever arises, but you create some space. Acknowledge whatever it may be on any level, mental, physical, spiritual, or emotional. When we check in at the end of this hour with how we're feeling, you may notice things have subtly shifted in perspective or sensation. Next, begin to notice your breath. Don't change anything, just become aware of it. How fast are you breathing? Whereabouts in your chest cavity are you breathing? Are you breathing through your nose or through your mouth? Or a bit of both? So begin to breathe in and back out again through your nose. Pull that air in past the rings of the nostrils. Trace its path as it flows up your nose, down your throat, into your lungs. And back out that same pathway. Feel the swirl past the rings of the nostrils as the breath exits the body. Notice the difference in temperature there at the rings of the nostrils, how the air is cooler when it first enters the nose, and how it's warmer as it exits. Just another place you can focus. Notice how your breath is slowing down and deepening. So start to even out your inhales and exhales next. Put a count to 2 or 3, 4 as you pull the air in. And then that same steady count as you send it back out again. Match the numbers to your breath. Don't force your breath to be something you think it should be. And if the counting won't work for you, doesn't seem to fit, try this little mantra, little phrase. I am breathing in. I am breathing out. Matching that phrase to your inhales and your exhales. On another inhale, still using that mantra or the counting, pay attention to your rib cage now. Notice how it expands in 4 directions. Fronts, backs, sides. Watch it contract as you exhale. Go deeper on another inhale. Take a look at your lungs now. You can feel them expand, but see them with your mind's eye, virtual sponges, that they fill up the majority of your chest cavity. Watch how they expand in those same 4 directions, and then contract on an exhale. Send your lungs some gratitude this morning for being healthy. For all the work that they do for us all day, all night. You're breathing your yogic breath right now. It's the main breath that we use in yin, this steady rhythm that you have going. It helps, as I mentioned before, with the concentrating at the tip of your nose where the air swirls in and out. It helps to focus your mind, give your mind something to rest, a place to rest. And the other reason for the breath is it will let you know if you're perhaps working too hard or pushing, something that we should never do in yin. If you lose this rhythmic breath, then you know you've either disappeared out of your room, off your mat, or if it becomes ragged, then you know you need to back off or modify so that you can always come back to this most important part of any style of yoga, and that's your breath. Now, if you are lying back, make your way to one side, blink your eyes open and closed a few times. If you're seated, you might want to remove the cat off your lap, straighten out your legs one at a time, give them a little bounce in a rock from the top of the hips, push through the heels, point the toes. If you're lying back, when you feel ready, push into your mat with one of your hands and help yourself back up to a seated position. I always have a little quilt with me to sit my sit bones on, cover up if it's ever cold as well. If you don't have that for this next pose, you can always roll the end of your yoga mat over a few times and sit your sit bones on the end of that. So once you've got that, this also will help if you have any kind of sciatica issues, just that slight lift and tilt of the pelvis. Pull your feet together so that you have this diamond shape on your mat, like so. And if this pulls in a hip or bothers a knee, if there's a healing knee or a knee injury, then feel free to put a block, or if you've got books handy, or another quilt or something under that thigh to help take some of the pressure off the hip or off the knee. You can use a block inside this diamond shape if you like, to rest your arms or your head on. So take an inhale now and lean forward just till you feel like you kind of stop. Got my old phone here going to time us, because in yin we hold poses for minutes. So this one's 3 minutes. So we just lean forward. You might find that just a slight lean like this is plenty, and you can feel already compression in your hips. If your low back is okay, let it round. Relax your arms. You're not pulling. They can sit on your feet. They can rest inside that diamond shape. They can rest on the block. Stand it on one of its ends, set it in the diamond shape, set it on your feet. Maybe rest your arms on the block like so. Maybe you keep your head in line with your spine, or maybe you let your head dangle. If your low back has any kind of issues, disc issues, that you shouldn't allow the low back to round, then keep your tummy pulled in and just lean from the hips. You still get compression there in the hips. You still got a nice outer rotation going, so feel that tug through the groin. Maybe there's a pull down the inside line of your legs. Find your breath that you had at the beginning, in through the nose, back out through the nose. Yin yoga works on 3 principles, just 3 tattvas they're called. And the first one is this finding your edge, leaning forward, and you kind of stop and you feel like, oh my God, you could groan. That's perfect. That tugging sensation is what we're always looking for. It's not too intense. If it is, then ease off. Especially early in the morning, sometimes we feel a little tighter than usual. But once you've found that place of a comfortable discomfort where you can breathe, then relax there. Try to be still. That's the second tattva, is not backing away from those kind of annoying tugs that you're feeling through the groin, inside legs. Maybe it's the outer point of the hips you can feel. Maybe it's your low back. This is a lovely decompression for that area. The other component to the stillness is an inner stillness. So use those techniques that we went through when we did the centering, the meditation. Feel your lungs expand and contract. And then you may notice that this edge kind of dissipates, and you can maybe lean a little further forward. You're not pulling, arms are just nice and relaxed. Let your head go. Breathe in, breathe out. On your next inhale, slowly uncurl your way back up. Exhale when you get up. Leave your legs where they are and just lean back on those hands. That should feel nice for the hips, the low back. Take a few breaths there. Then when you're ready, set your foot soles down about the width of your mat. And just go through some nice easy windshield wipers. Think about your inner knee and your outer knee coming towards the mat, the floor. Maybe straighten them, give them a little bounce. And then this next one, you might want to swivel sideways on your mat so that you've got padding under your heels. So you'll go this way. I think that's going to work. Yeah. Just want to make sure everything's okay. Oh, yay. People in England. So nice to see you. I'm far back, so I can't read the screen. Sue, it's so lovely to see you both. And flashing scissors. Yay. Barbara, I think. Yes, Barbara. All right, so we're going to go into Dragonfly, it's called, also known as straddle. So open your legs just so you feel this pull along the inside line of your legs. And again, this one can aggravate sciatica, or if you have tight hamstrings, this can help take some of the pressure off that. So just enough that you can feel just a slight lift and a tilt forward. You can roll over the end of your yoga mat to do that too. You can sit on something higher. If that doesn't feel high enough, roll it over several times and elevate your pelvis and your hips a little more. Legs are open apart just enough so that you start to feel a bit of a tug along the inside lines of your legs. So inhale your way over to your right leg, and then on your exhale, start to lean forward over that leg. I'm going to go this way so I can talk to you. Feed your hands under the back of the knee if this pulls too much on the back of the knee. And then that takes some of the pressure off. If you have a little block handy or something, you can always use that as well. And then you can let your hands be on either side of the knee. Feet are floppy. Same thing as with that butterfly pose we just did. You allow yourself to round. If it's okay for your low back, let your head go. If it's okay for the back of your neck. If not, then just keep it in line. Close your eyes. Go inside now. Notice your low back here. Notice how there's a bit of a tug happening on the right side, maybe across the top of your pelvis. Kind of a squish on the left side of your spine. Notice the pull that's zooming down the back of your leg. Notice the direction. Is it going up or is it going down? Or does it feel kind of both? What's happening along the inner line of your leg? Maybe you can feel the tug into the groin, strong ligaments around our hip joints, the largest joint in our body. So sometimes you can actually start to feel kind of a ropey feeling through the groin, especially if there's tightness there. At this point, we're going to add a side bend here. So take your your right hand, because you're on the right side, and put it on the inside of that leg. I'll go this way now. Normally I'm not doing them so much with people, but this helps for people to see rather than just listen. Take your left hand and wrap it behind your waist. Think about your right ear and let your right ear just drop towards your right shoulder. Don't lift your shoulder up. Here, if you're not using a block under your leg, sometimes it's nice to set the block on the inside of the thigh. And then you don't have to lean quite so far over. Maybe your elbow goes there and you rest your head in your hands. And at this point, for the last 45 seconds, if you like, take that left arm, rest it on the side of your head. It's going to put extra pressure on your neck, so be mindful here along your neck. If some of you find that your head, you can find your toes and take your arm off the side of your head at this last point, then find those toes. Don't compromise, don't lean forward to get them, and don't fight to get them. Just hang out there. Feeling that lovely zigzaggy pull down the side of your ribs. Relax your legs. Now inhale your way back up to the center. Exhale. Inhale, she loves to photobomb everything. Inhale over that left leg, and then exhale, leaning over this leg. If you had something under the back of your right leg, then feed it back under the back of the left knee, whether it was the block or maybe your hands, to take pressure there. Feel that tug on the lower spine, kind of a squishing sensation on the lower left this time. A bit of an extra pull on the right lower spine and across the top of your pelvis. You might be able to feel that. Notice the compression in your left hip, and notice the tug that you're getting in your right hip joint, maybe down the inside of that right leg, maybe both legs, but compare them as you breathe here. Is the right leg maybe pulling a little bit more along the inside than the left? Let your feet be floppy. And again, let your head go if it's okay for your neck. Remember, you don't have to have your legs straight if it's too much on the hamstring. Use that block. Pull your heel in. Be kind to yourself. Steady breathing. Now inhale and bring your left hand on the inside of that leg, just like we did the other side. Open your heart towards your ceiling. Wrap your right hand behind your waist this time. Think about your left ear coming towards your left shoulder. And remember, you can bring that block inside. Rest your elbow maybe on it, your head in your hands. Same thing, if your elbow goes onto the mat easily, rest your head in your hand, or just let the arm relax and let your head relax. You can feel a nice zigzaggy pull down the side of your neck. And then at this point, bring your right hand, arm, and rest it on the side of your head for that extra weight if you did it on the first side. Try to relax your legs when you do that. It's amazing how many times the legs kick in just when we move our arms or our head. Now you'll notice an even lovelier, I'll show you on this side, kind of a zigzaggy feeling going down the ribs as you've got this arm on your head. And again, if you reached for the toes on the first side, as long as it's no effort, do that on this side, relaxing. And if this raising your arm bothers you, just keep it behind your waist. We do acupressure on ourselves in yin. Inhale your way back up to center. And that one was a nice way to get some of the gallbladder meridian line. We'll go right down the center now, so use a block here if you like. Reset this, inhale, and then start to lean forward. Again, pull your heels in. If it bothers your hamstrings too much, put something under the backs of your knees. Allow your low back to round if it's okay. If not, keep that tummy pulled in and just lean from the hips. Blocks again can be nice for arms. Rest on, let your head go if it's okay for your neck. If not, just keep it in line. You can set your elbows. Remember, there's different sides to a block, or maybe you've got some books stacked there. Rest your head in your hands. Some of us find it, I'm flexible, but I have to work on strength. Some of us are strong, and we have to work on flexibility. And so some people in these poses, and I find a lot of my students who are runners, cyclists, this is about as far forward as they're going to get. And sometimes it's to do with the pelvis and the femurs, the angle of the sockets in the pelvis. Sometimes it's life experiences, sometimes it's injuries. But there's always somewhere to go. And remember, if you're feeling it, you're doing it. And you don't need to have these poses feel sensational. You want to be able to walk for the rest of the day. So just this tugging sensation. So you might be here, some of you might be flat on the floor, arms out, then you can do that. You can always rest your head on a block. As long as your shoulders are relaxing and you're feeling this pull along the inside lines of the legs. Listen to your breath. In through the nose. Back out through the nose. One more minute here. So I started to mention about yin yoga being an excellent way to do some acupressure on yourself. Here with the legs apart, you feel this tug along the inside lines of the legs and into the groin. The liver meridian runs there, as well as the kidney meridian running up the inside lines of your legs. To some degree, we're getting some of the spleen meridian as well. Leaning forward, you might feel a nice tug down your spine, maybe down the backs of your legs as well. That's the path of the urinary bladder meridian line. These are energy highways in our body. And sometimes if we've got blockages along those lines, this steady tug that we're doing in yin can help to remove whatever's blocking the flow of energy. Now inhale your way slowly back upright. Exhale when you get all the way up. Lean back on your hands. It's 3, 6, 9 minutes that we've had our legs apart like that, so it should feel lovely to let them go. And you might want to help them then. Set the feet down. Lean back on those hands again. Enjoy that delicious feeling that we get when we come out of poses. Feels so good. And then do some nice, gentle windshield wipers here. Always a good idea to put a little motion into those areas there where you've had that long held stress. And then we're going to come right down onto our tummies now. So swivel around. And you're going to lie down with your elbows out to the side like this. Head can be stacked on your hands, or your stacked hands is a nice place to rest your head on. So just stay there for a moment. Breathing. It's so lovely to see people actually here. I'm not talking to just myself. All right, so we're going to start off with baby cobra here. Take your head off your hands. Bring your hands, palms down under your shoulder heads like this, that you can see. And your elbows are sticking up like little grasshopper legs by your ribs. So everything's quite close to your ribs. Your head is just barely off your mat. Your nose is a couple inches off your mat. Tops of the feet, relax them on the mat. Let your legs relax, let your bum relax. Notice there's a little bit of work in your low back to hold yourself here. And if this feels like it's plenty to do for 3 minutes, then stay here. If you feel like your back could bend a little more, slide forward onto your forearms. Kid watching TV pose. Now here you want to make sure that your arms aren't out to the sides of your mat. Make sure they're under your shoulders. There's a right angle here at your elbow eye, and that you've got this elbow stacked under your shoulder. Relax your feet. Relax your legs. Relax your bum. Notice that there's work going on in your low back. This is one of the few poses where we do target a muscle area. Usually in yin, our muscles are soft. Push into those elbows ever so slightly. And you'll notice how that right away increases the back bend. But don't engage your arms too much, just a little bit. Palms are flat down, fingers spread, good energy. And if that doesn't feel quite stable, you can always bring your palms together in prayer. So either one of those two this morning are totally fine. Don't let your head drop here. Keep it in a nice line with your spine. So look on the floor, maybe open your eyes. Make sure you're looking about 1 meter in front of you, 3 feet. Then close your eyes again. Check that you've still got the bum relaxed, the legs relaxed. Breathe in. Breathe out. You can enhance this pose with your breath. Start at the base of your spine, your tailbone, and in your mind's eye, breathe up the back of your spine, traveling along upwards between the shoulder blades, along the back of the neck to the base of your skull. Exhale down the front of your spinal cord now, behind your throat, behind your heart and lungs, behind your abdominal organs, behind your pelvic organs where the spine is more horizontal, right back to the front of the tailbone. And then inhale up the back. Exhale down the front. For these last 30 seconds, if you want to bring it into your neck, pull your chin in and then lift your chin up into the air like that. Keep your eyes closed if you like. Make sure that this doesn't cause any kind of dizziness. You can feel the tug. You can hear it in my voice, but you can feel the tug in the front of your neck. And we tuck our chin to lengthen the back of our neck so it's a safe way, like we've got an imaginary tennis ball back there that we're rolling up and over. This is a nice pull for the front of our neck, those ligaments there that spend so much time for those of us quilters hunched over sewing machines, but also over computers, handheld devices. Now take a nice deep inhale. And on the exhale, you're going to come all the way down. Turn your elbows out to the side again. Stack your hands. Turn your head to one side on your hands, or rest your forehead on your stacked hands, whatever feels right for your neck. Puff your low back out with your breath as you breathe in. That helps release it. And then you have options here. You can bend your legs at the knees like so and wave these limbs back and forth. That can help release the low back. Or if your head's on one side, then pull that leg up alongside you so you're lying with one bent and one straight. Let that back bend go. And then when you feel ready, let that leg come down again. We're going to come up one more time for another back bend. Maybe take it a little deeper, or maybe back off if you've had enough. Do the baby cobra one I showed you. If your back feels good, we'll come up to sphinx pose. Just hold this one for 2 minutes this time, not the full 3. So to go deeper, you can keep your arms where they were before. So we had our elbows under our shoulders, parallel arms or palms in prayer, and then open your legs. If I go sideways, you might see this better. So you can open the legs like that, and your hands are the same place. Or if you want to go this way, maybe, I don't know, kind of off the camera a little bit. Okay, if you want to go into seal, grab my timer, then wing your palms out to the side edges of your mat and push into those palms so you can see how you straighten up your arms and you lift yourself up higher. You can walk your hands back if you like. You can keep your legs together, or you can open the legs here and increase the back bend even more. If you find that you get up here and you can't seem to get your legs to relax and your bum to relax, then maybe back off and do the sphinx pose with your legs apart instead of together. Or you might even like to have those legs bent at the knees in sphinx pose and find that sweet spot where they just kind of float there. And that will also increase the back bend a little bit. Steady breathing. Remember, don't let your head dangle. Keep it in line with your spine, wherever you are. With your sphinx pose, you can push into those arms and rise up out of the shoulder girdle. Take a few breaths there, where you can kind of hunch down into those shoulders. Either one is acceptable. And now for this last minute, if you'd like, pull your chin in again and then lift it up just like we did before. Check in that your bum is still relaxed. Breathing steady in through the nose. Back out through the nose, just like a wave coming to shore. Remember, you can breathe along your spine just like we did before. Notice how this pulls in the front of the hip joint a little bit as well. Teaches you that back bends are related to flexibility in the front of our hip joints. One more deep breath in. And then on the exhale, come all the way down slowly. Turn those elbows out to the sides just like we did before. Turn around this. Stack your hands with the other hand on top. It doesn't feel quite natural. Turn your head the opposite way if you had it on one side before, or rest on your forehead. Puff your low back out with your breath again to release it. And then whatever release you did on the first side, go ahead and do it here. Pull that leg up. It'll be the opposite way. The opposite side, if your head's on the opposite way, or if you did windshield wipers. Take your time. And then when you're ready, push up onto all fours. And either cross at the ankles and roll over them to come to a seated position again, or swing your legs to one side and come to a seated position. So this next one again can aggravate sciatica, so roll a little quilt over, sit bones on the edge of it. Take your right leg, I'm going to look probably the opposite to you, I'm not sure. Take your right leg in your hand and bring it across and stack your knee on top of your left knee. If that knee doesn't want to go down, and it's knee to knee, so it's kind of like, think of sitting in a chair, except you're going to try to lie that knee down. Lots of us have tight hips and the knee doesn't want to lie down, so put a block there. So it's got something to rest on. Put the block under the thigh, like so, however you can find it so that this leg can relax. If your knees are together, then lean back and bring the bottom one in. And then if that makes the knees pop apart, do the same things with a block, or maybe you just need a little quilt blanket in there, or a hoodie or something. This is called shoelace pose. So the side edges of your feet are on your mat here. Lean forward now and plant your hands in front of your knees if they're stacked like this, or on either side of that straight leg. Push back a little bit, and that'll keep any extra pressure off your knees and keep it back in the hips where we want it. It's a really good Sarah Powers tip, that, pushing back. The other thing you can do is if there's too much pressure on the back of your thigh, and especially the back of your knee here, take your hands and slip them under the back of the knee, or if you're not using a block between the knees, slip it beneath the underneath knee, and then that'll take pressure off the hamstring and alleviate some of the pressure off the back of the knee. If you're okay, then keep that slight pressure in your hands as you allow your back to round forward. Let your head go if it's okay for the back of your neck. Whether you've got the straight leg or you're doing full shoelace, same thing. You can use a block here in full shoelace quite nicely to rest your arms on if you like, or maybe it's your head. Remember, there's different sides to the block as well. Remember, this should be in the hips, and it should be a manageable, a comfortable discomfort. Don't make it crazy off the charts. Steady breathing, your breath is your guide. In through the nose, back out through the nose. Relax your legs. Shoelace, as my very first yin teacher used to tell us in her lovely South African accent, shoelace is one of the best poses for us Westerners because we don't live on the floor. And you can certainly feel how there's this adduction happening with our legs, our knees stacked. So there's a squishy feeling in the groin here, pulling along the outside line, excuse me, along the outside line of our hip joints, down the side of your legs. Getting a nice decompression in your low back again too. Remember, keep the tummy pulled in if it bothers you, or if there's any disc issues in the low back. Flatten your low back, just lean with a flat back. Don't pull. Relax into this tug. Steady breathing. Our thought for this morning is from Randy Posh, and he writes, the key question to keep asking is, are you spending your time on the right things? Because time is all you have. On your next inhale, slowly uncurl your way back up. Exhale when you get all the way up. Help your top leg off. Set it down. Bring your bottom leg out. Set it down. Lean back on your hands. Close your eyes. Enjoy that delicious warmth, coolness, spearminty feeling flowing through your legs, your hips, your low back. And then once again, do some windshield wipers if you like, just to put some motion through those hips. And then plant your feet and push up into a tabletop position. That's another nice way to release things. Hold that for a few breaths. Put a little bit of work into your arms, and then set your hips down. Give your legs a little bounce, and we'll do that on the other side. So left leg comes across. Stack the knee on top of the right knee. Check in with how you're feeling. Here, use blocks under the thigh, between the knees, so that you can support this leg. It's okay if it's up fairly high. Just give it something to rest on so that you can feel the tug go into your hip. That's why the blocks are there, so the leg can relax, okay? You don't want to have this quad in a real strong grip the whole time. If you did full shoelace on the first side, then lean back, pull that bottom leg in, wiggle so that you're not crooked here. I meant to mention that on the first side. You want to make sure that you are stable and your spine doesn't have this crookedness. So make sure that you can wiggle and feel both sit bones on the floor. Inhale, just like we did before. We're going to plant our hands in front of those knees that are stacked or on either side of our straight leg and push back a little bit. Just keep the weight back in the hips here and no pressure on the knees. Slowly leaning forward. And if leaning forward causes any kind of twinges or definitely no pain, back off. You don't want to stay with pain ever. But a little bit of, if there's any twinges, then don't lean so far forward. Stay back, more upright. There's lots going on in the hips just sitting like this. Tons. Especially if you don't live on the floor. None of us do in the West, really. Or if this is a new pose for you. So easy does it. This one is working deeply into the hip sockets. But with leaning forward, we're also getting that nice tug along our low back that I mentioned. Keep your back flat if there's any disc issues. Don't round. If you're okay to round, then allow yourself to round. Remember, the block can be nice here too. Rest your arms on it, maybe your head. And listen to your heart beating here. And this one, because of the pretty intense pull into the hip joints and down the inner and outer legs, you might want to try sending your breath to where you're especially feeling this discomfort. You might think, okay, Sandra, I don't have lungs in my hips and it's all in my hip joints. But energetically, you can send your breath there as you breathe in. Sometimes in these more intense poses like this, I imagine vapor-like fingers massaging in that hip socket, helping to relax. Yin also works on the same principles that myofascial release does, where we keep this tug, static hold like this. The connective tissues they are finding respond well to this. Cells will kind of wake up and make more cells. That gives us a little extra length, a little extra limberness in these areas. Now inhale your way slowly back upright. Exhale when you get all the way up. Take your leg, top leg, left leg off, set it down. Bring your bottom leg out, set it down. Once again, lean back on your hands. Take a few breaths just to enjoy that release. That helps push toxins out, just like deep tissue massage, out of these areas with that compression and then relief. And then do some windshield wipers once more. And then maybe once more, plant your feet, push into your hands and your feet. Lift your torso up into tabletop. Take one more breath in and then set your hips down. Good stuff. Now we're going to come down onto our backs. I'll lie down here and show you. This is called Happy Baby Pose. How are we doing for time here? Oh, we're good. So we're lying down on our backs here. You can make this an exercise if you like, by straightening up your legs and lifting them together up in the air if you like. Maybe let them go down one more time, almost to the floor, and then bring them back up again. Just a little bit of core there. If that's too hard on your back, then bend your legs and just bring them in to your chest. So then what we're going to do is lift the feet up into the air as if you're standing on your ceiling, and open the knees and drop them down a little bit. See if you can grab the backs of your thighs, or maybe you can reach up and grab the calf. Maybe it's behind the knees. Just whatever you can comfortably. You don't want to be lifting your head up to grab anything. Keep your torso and your head relaxed on your mat. Maybe you can reach the ankles. Keep those knees wide apart and keep your feet slightly flexed like you're standing on the ceiling. I'll start timing us here. This one's just 2 minutes. Some of you might find that you can reach a little higher. Grab the outside, not the inside, outside of your legs, from the outside. So reach up to the side edges of your feet. And then see if you can just put a little bit of work into your biceps and pull a little bit with those arms, like that. Yeah, I think you can see me. Okay, good. Keep your low back flat, or allow that lower back to round up, whatever is okay for your low back. If rounding starts to bother it, then back off, move your hands lower down, and keep your low back nice and flat on your mat. Think about your knees going on either side of your rib cage. One day, maybe next year, or next lifetime, I like to say, those knees will be back down on either side of your ribs. See how we're doing for our time. Stop pulling with your hands now if you were using them as a little bit of work for your biceps. Just relax your arms there, let them hang. This is a very strong compression in the front of your hips, as you'll find. And probably pretty good tug in the butt cheek, right in the hamstring insertion maybe area in the back of the hip joint. You can feel some tugging sensation there. Check that you're not gritting your teeth and that your shoulders are relaxed. And now start to rock a little bit over your spine. This is called Happy Baby, and right at this point you can figure out why it's called Happy Baby pose. How many babies do we see doing this, playing with their toes? And so just at the end of the pose, for fun, bring your toes in, see if you can touch them to your nose or your forehead, give them a little kiss. Do that in your mind and then let them float back on down so your feet rest on your mat. Arms can be by your sides. Just enjoy that release of coming out of that pose. And here you might like to drop your legs from side to side, or your knees, that is. Sometimes that feels nice across the pelvis, or maybe it's straightening them out is what you need. Take your time. And then staying on your back, we're going to put our arms out into a T. Going to bend in our right leg and let it go across. I don't know if you see. So your arms are in a T. Let that leg go across. You can reach down with your right hand. Sorry, that would be your left hand. Reach with your left hand and rest it on the side of that right knee. You can scoot your left hip under a little bit if you like, so that you get a little bit stronger of a twist. Try not to sacrifice your right shoulder though. Try to keep it on your mat. And to help with that, you can turn your head, if you like, and look to the outstretched right hand. Think about your right ear, that it could come onto your mat. So then that brings your twist into your neck. Of course, if it bothers your neck to turn your head like that, just keep your back of your head flat on your mat and don't turn your head. But if you're okay, then turn your head. Don't pull on the side of your knee with your left hand, just relaxing it there. And if it feels better to have your arms just out, then do that. If your knee is really high up off your mat, then put a block under the side of it to rest on. Remember, you can have it on multiple sides so that this top leg can relax. Twists are pretty much always at the end of a yoga class to help release tension that might have built up in your spine. Send that spine some gratitude. Think about how marvelous it is right now that the front of your spinal cord that rests deep in your pelvis, it's facing over to the left. Travel along the front of your spine. Notice where it flattens out. Behind or between your shoulders, behind your heart. And then notice how it starts to twirl, and the front of your spine that's in your neck is facing pretty much 180 degrees in the opposite direction to the lower spine. Pretty marvelous feature that we have, this spine. So be grateful for its health, all that it allows you to do. Now inhale your way back to the center. Plant your feet on your mat, lift your hips into the air. That'll realign your spine. And then stretch out your right leg. If you like, you might want to bring your knees into your chest and rock over that spine a little bit to release them. And then stretch out your right leg. Scoot that right hip under a little bit. Let that left leg go across your body. Arms are out in that T. Reach down with your right hand, rest it on the side of the knee, fingers kind of in the pit of the knee. Remember, you're not pulling, you're just resting your arm there. And if it feels better again to have your arm outstretched, then do that. Try not to sacrifice your left shoulder from the mat. Turn your head if you like. Left ear coming onto your mat. Steady breathing. In through the nose. Back out through the nose. Relax your belly. And once again, just marveling at your spine's ability here to twirl on its axis. This also helps to restore the equilibrium in your nervous system by twisting at the end of a class. Some of the poses, especially that shoelace pose, were pretty intense. And so twirling like this can help restore that all is well feeling. About 30 more seconds here. Now on your next inhale, bring yourself back to the center once more. Plant your feet, lift your hips into the air to realign your spine, set your hips down, and then bring your knees into your chest, wrap your arms around your shins, give yourself a hug. Rock over that spine, massaging. Might want to plant your palms on your knees like this and then send them around in circles. Nice big lazy circles a few times one way and then the same number of times the other way. And when you're ready, maybe give yourself one more hug, lift your head off your mat, squeeze in really tight, and then let go. And we're going to stretch out, getting ready for final relaxation. So maybe putting a hoodie on or covering up. It's a little cool on the floor, just to lie still now. So always at the end of every class we have Shavasana. So stretch out your legs, a little bit of space between them. Arms are by your sides, lying down. Palms up or down, doesn't matter. You can have your palms on your belly if you like. A little bit of space between your arms and your legs as you're lying there. Tuck your chin in slightly, that'll lengthen the back of the neck. Take in a deep breath. Let it go with a sigh. Do that one more time. Deep breath in. Let go. Sink into your mat now. It's like you're lying in some warm sand. There's nowhere to go. Nothing to do. Fill your body with a warm, healing light of relaxation from your toes. Let it rise up through your body, filling your entire body with this glowing, healing light of relaxation. You're warm, heavy, relaxed. Float away to a happy place or stay within. But whatever you do, choose now. Take rest for the next 2 or 3 minutes and let your body absorb the benefits of this practice in Shavasana. Slowly coming back to the room, hear the sounds around you. Feel the air on your skin. Just gently bringing yourself back, wiggling your fingers and toes, making circles with your wrists and ankles, turning your head from side to side. And then sweep your arms over your head for a full body stretch. And then those arms come down, the legs glide in, turn over to your left side. We turn to the left side in yin, that opens the right or yang nostril, energizing us. But take time here on your side to notice how you're feeling. Notice the quality of your mind. Know that this is your true nature, and you can come back to this feeling right now, anytime, especially in these worrying times. Take your right hand and push into your mat and help yourself up to a cross-legged seat. Hands come together in prayer at your heart, eyes closed. May you be free from fear and harm. May you be content as you are. May you be at peace with what comes. May you be happy. The light within me honors the light within each one of you. Bow forward, sealing your practice now. Namaste. Thank you to those of you that did join me. This was a big first. Bye, and I might do this again. Bye, Helen. Now, how do I end? Oh, here we go, end.